Good morning, friends. Hope you're doing well today. Got a little friend with me. Meet my Starfy. A friend made him for me. Very special. He's been a nice little buddy to take care of me lately when I'm feeling kind of sad or blue. Look at that face. How can you continue to be sad with a face like that? Oh, and my friend even signed him for me. I like it when my friends signed my work that they give me. Helps me remember them. Doesn't really have a name yet. I guess I'll just name him after my friend. Nikito. Yep, Nikito. Oh, it's another upside to having someone write their name on it. That's his alias. Nikito is his alias. Can't tell you his real name. Then why? Do you remember why we have aliases? Very good. To stay safe. Alright. It is a way to not talk to strangers online. Well, we can talk to strangers, but don't give them too much information to find out who we are. Now, what's the first thing that we do? We have a new routine. That's right, we're watering our plant. Oh, Miss Mythril was silly and forgot to bring it down. I put it up on a high up shelf. Remember I was talking about how Maelstrom might like to explore it? Because look how beautiful they're getting. Look how tall they've gotten. Remember just last week? They were only about this tall? And I've already given them names too. This one is Alakazam. This one is Larry. And these two I'm still working on their names. But here we have Larry and Alakazam. Like when you're casting a spell. Alakazam! The little one I chose Alakazam because a friend of mine says that he has a lot of older siblings. He is the youngest. And I said, would you like to pick one of these flowers to be named after you? And he said, yes, I want the smallest one. I asked him why. Why'd you pick the smallest one? He said, because I am the youngest of brothers and sisters. I have one brother and two sisters. Oh, excuse me. 2 brothers, 2 sisters. Oh, anyway. He is the youngest of his brothers and sisters, and to him, family is everything. Here we go. We're going to water him a little bit. Oh, look at them. They look like they're kind of jumping around, excited for that water, huh? Do you get excited when you get to eat too? Let me get a little bit closer so you can see. Do you hear that buzzing sound outside? Do you know what that sound is? Weed whackers. There are maintenance people that are outside and they're working hard to keep our front lawn looking good. That kind of leads into what our subject is going to be today. This week we're talking about construction and tools. Even though they might not be building something outside, they're helping keep the buildings looking nice and the plants outside from getting too many weeds or bad plants that can encroach on them or keep them from growing healthy. We're going to be learning about different tools this week. Do you like using tools? What's your favorite tool to use? Tell me. Some of the tools we'll be talking about are hammers, screwdrivers, and we may even bring out a measuring tape. As a matter of fact, here's an idea. How about on our next episode, we will take the tape measure and see how tall the flower stems have gotten. And we'll see how tall they are in inches. And then on Friday, we'll do it again to see if they've grown any more. But until then, let's go ahead and get started with our book. Mommy and Daddy might have told you. Today we're getting a visit from Pete the Cat. Today's story is going to be Pete the Cat, Construction Destruction. This is a really big book. I have to thumb through it just like our folktale book to find the right page. So here he is. Construction Destruction. Can you tell me what kind of vehicle or machine that is behind Pete the Cat? A bulldozer. Very good. They must teach you that very well in school. Recess! Pete shouts as the bell rings. But when Pete gets outside to play, oh no, the playground is a disaster. The swings are broken, the slide is rusty, and the sandbox is full of weeds. Weren't we just talking about that? Yeah, weeds can be no good. There's a picture showing you just what those weeds look like. Pete makes plans for a new playground. Wow, says Principal Nancy. Can you really build that? Not by myself, says Pete. I'm going to need some help. Whatever you need, Pete, it's yours. Rumble, rumble, honk. The next day, Pete arrives at the playground before school. The construction crew is already there. He gives them the go-ahead to tear down the old playground. What's this over here with a huge ball? That's a wrecking ball. Use that really big, heavy ball to knock down things. Old buildings, for example. Creak, crash. Down goes the slide. Clink, clank. Down goes the swings. Bang, boom. Down goes the tower. Honk, honk. A truck arrives to recycle the metal. Even in construction, recycling is very important. Rumble, rumble, honk, honk. The new playground equipment has arrived. It's time to get to work. The cement mixer will pour concrete. The dump truck will bring sand and dirt. The backhoe will dig. The whole team will get the job done. Well, looks like they got a clown head over there on the loose. What are they going to use that for? I wonder. Clank, whack, thud. Building a playground is hard work. The new playground is cool, but it's not cool enough. What do you think? Pete asks, holding up his latest plans. It will be too hard to build, says one of the workers, and everything is almost finished, says another. But it will make this best playground ever, Pete says. Then let's do it, the workers say. See, construction workers always need a big piece of paper to draw out what they want to make first, kind of like a rough draft. And then they use the tools to make it look just like what's on the paper. So see what they're planning on doing with the clown head? They put it at the top of the slide. And the ladder. And right here, they're planning on having a little toy horsey and a seesaw. And look, a sandbox with no weeds. Looks like they're starting with that clown head. Screwdrivers twist in screws. Wrenches tighten the nuts. The workers tried to make everything perfect. Hooray! The new playground is ready! Look at that! Creak, creak, creak. Everyone is amazed until... Uh-oh. There's a creaking sound. What could the problem be? Smash! Crunch! Thud! Oh no, says Principal Nancy as the new playground crashes to the ground. The pieces are all mixed up. Everyone is disappointed. Except for Pete. The whole thing fell down, despite all their hard work. How do you think that made the construction workers feel? Bad. Disappointed. It's not how we planned it, Pete shouts, but it's even better. The playground is filled with surprises and places to explore. The school playground is the most amazing playground ever. So they did a couple of different things to make it look different. Sometimes you've got to dare to dream big. Almost makes you want to sing a little song. I love my playground. I love my playground. I love my playground. I love my playground. Yeah. I do hope you enjoyed that story. It was really good, huh? So what happened at the beginning, before they decided to construct? They saw that the playground needed to be redone. But one thing I noticed, they didn't look at their rough draft, their blueprints, the big paper that they drew everything on, until after they had already gotten started. Sometimes it's important to start that first so that everyone can see what idea the head construction worker has. So he can tell them, okay, so the slide's going to go here, and we're going to put the clown head at the top over there, and I would like 1, 2, 3 flowers on top of the swings. And then he asked his friends, most importantly, what do you think? Whenever you're working on a team, it's very important to include everybody and make sure that they understand that everyone's ideas are important, just like their skills, just like their contribution, because everyone is important when we're working together. Very important thing to remember. Alright, so a couple of things we're going to go over before we get to today's assignment. And uh-oh. Ah, I think I hear Auntie. Yeah, Auntie's ready to come for a visit. Where are you at, Auntie? You just moved so fast. Where'd you go? I'm right here. Hi, friends. How's it going? Welcome back. Did you catch anything we were talking about today? Oh, yeah. We're talking about construction and destruction. Those two words sound very similar. That's right. But they're opposites. They're opposites. Yeah, that's right. Construction, destruction. You see how similar they are, but where they're different at the beginning of the word? So, construction means to build. That's right. And destruction means to destroy. That's right. Alright, so, do you want to help me show our friends what tools we've got today that we're going to introduce? Oh, yeah. You guys are going to love this. I saw these just last night. What we got up first, Miss Mythril? So up first, we have... Oh, look at this. We have a hammer, don't we? Oh, my goodness. That looks a lot more heavy than what it looked like in the book. Yep. So you use this for 2 purposes. The first purpose is to hammer in a nail. Thud, 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 thud. Can you pretend that you're using the hammer with me? Or, if Mommy and Daddy help you pull some tools together, use your hammer to thud with me on the count of 3. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Thud, 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 thud. Very good. Now the other purpose. You might notice it has this little fork in the back of its head. This is very important if you've made a mistake. Kind of like if you're drawing with a pencil and you make a mistake with what you're drawing, you want to erase it. Well, if you have been hammering in a nail and it doesn't go in quite right, you can turn it around and slip it in between those two little holes there and pull it out. Can you make that sound with me? Ready? We're going to practice together on a count of 3. 1, 2, 3. There's a lot of silly sounds that goes into construction, that's for sure. And destruction, for that matter. Absolutely right, Auntie. Okay, so that was our hammer. The next thing we have, oh my god, it's gonna be so cool. Whoops. Let me fix that a little bit. We have a screwdriver here. Now, this is kind of small, and it's very light. It's not all that heavy. So if you've got your own screwdriver at home, you can feel where the metal part is right here. And at the top, it feels a little different because it's made of plastic. The handle is made of plastic, but it's got these little grooves so you can grab onto it very easily. And what you do is you will put it to something that looks like a nail, but it's called a screw. And it's similar to a nail in the fact that they're small, long pieces of metal, and they also bring pieces together. And I'll be glad to show you what I mean later when we do our project for the day. It will involve using a screwdriver with screws. Oh my gosh! So, can you get out your screw with me? Hold it up. Kind of like your wizard's wand. And we're going to go twist on the count of 3. Ready? I'm going to twist your wrist like this. 1, 2, 3. Twist, 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 twist. Very good. Now, if you made a mistake with this, there's no crook for you to put the screws in, but you can twist it the other way to get it out. So on the count of 3, we're going to practice. I'm going to say untwist. Alright, you ready? 1, 2, 3, untwist, 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 untwist. Very good. You can make yourself quite a construction worker yet if you put your mind to it. Well, what else we got? That might be it for today. Whoops. I plan to use this later when we're building our project. By the way, what we're going to be building is a real wooden fireplane. It's a toy fireplane. Today we're going to paint it today, but we're going to have to wait for it to dry. Alright, so get excited for that. But that's where this comes into play. This is a very special kind of glue. It's called carpenter glue or wood glue. And you use it to glue pieces of small wood together. Now, I plan on using this as a backup plan in case the screws or the hammer and nails do not work. It's always good to have a backup idea just in case something doesn't work. Just like when you're doing art. You want to have plenty of cleaning supplies and you want to have plenty of various other supplies in case your first idea doesn't work. Very common. It's a good way to keep from getting disappointed. Yeah. So if you have one idea and it doesn't work, then you try the other idea, Shia. That's right. And then that might work better, and then you taught yourself how to do something really, really fun and easy. That seems to be it for today. I'll be showing you some more tools along the way, like the tape measure, which we'll be using starting on Wednesday to measure how tall our plants are getting. Maybe by then they'll start to open up and blossom a little bit more. Yeah, do you think the colors are going to change? Yeah, what color do you think they're going to change? What color were they this time? Do you remember what color our plants were? Green! Yeah, that's what I heard. So what are they going to turn into? Dwarf sunflowers. Do you know what color sunflowers are? What color are they? Good guess! They are yellow, usually. And dwarf sunflowers, when something is dwarf, that means they're shorter. So they're going to be small houseplant sunflowers. If I can get a picture of them, I'll be glad to show you what I expect them to look like eventually. Alright, in the meantime, the part you've all been probably waiting for. We're gonna start painting my wooden pieces to get started for the fire truck. Fire plane. I'm so excited. See, a fire plane is a lot like a fire truck. That's why Miss Mythril got confused for a second. Except instead of dumping water from the ground on the street, where do planes usually go? High up in the air. That's right. And then from the sky, if there is a fire that's way too high for humans to reach, like in a very tall building, or maybe even on top of a mountain, then they can drop the water from the sky. So that's why a fire plane is needed, and it's a lot like a fire truck. So stay tuned. I'm going to show you the picture, the finishing product, and then we're going to start painting. Alright, see you soon. Welcome back, friends. Alright, looks like we got just about everything to set up. Oh, except for the finishing touch. A little bit of water. I hope the flowers don't mind that I'm borrowing some of their water. Just in case something goes wrong, we want to have water and plenty of paper towels. Do you remember when we were potting the plants and all that water started spilling everywhere? It was very unexpected. But did we panic? Goodness, no. We just kept on right along. So as you can see here, we have all the pieces that we need to make this project. Let's see, we're going to move it over just a little bit because I don't think you can see everything. There we go. Alright, can you tell me what shapes you see? Very good. What else do you see? Awesome. Can you tell me more? Excellent. With this know-how, you could make your own very easily. I would have faith. Alright. Miss Mythril is just getting a few more brushes just in case, and this one's pink, but that's okay. It's not orange. I like orange. Okay, so this is something you usually see with like a painting easel, or if somebody was painting a picture. But we're going to use it today. That's okay, because we're still using paint, and it's still a handy tool. One thing that I can teach you is sometimes it's okay, sometimes, to use different things for other things that they're not originally meant for. Because sometimes they just make things easier. But if you're ever in doubt, if you're ever wondering, it's always good to ask for permission first, especially if those things belong to somebody else, like a friend, or mommy and daddy. And also to get insight and see if there might be something you're not thinking about. And they can provide you with something better. Like if you've ever been at school and you start to take one thing to use to make something else, and maybe the teacher or your parent says, no, that's not what that's for. Do they show you what it's for afterwards? Usually, yes. And they might give you something better to work for your project with your great idea. Alrighty. Oh my goodness, what a spread! Look at all those pieces! We look like we're just about ready to go. Absolutely. Okay, so first off, here is our blueprint, our picture of what it's going to look like in the end. Now, honestly, it's not going to be yellow like that. I decided I didn't want to use yellow. I wanted to use orange. As you can see here, here is a picture of all the tools that we have in front of us. See? Even down to the nuts and screws. Let me see if I can find it. There you go. The screws. It says here we have 4 screws, 2 short nails, and 1 long nail. See? 4 screws, 2 short nails, and 1 long nail. Alright, and the instructions are going to tell me piece by piece how to do this. So all I have to do is look for the number 1 right here. And it's telling me to start with that flat end right there. We're going to put it on the tiny little long cubes right here. And we go all the way down to step 5. When we get to step 5, we are done. Oh, and it's even got a special instruction here on step 5 saying, do not screw too lightly. Make sure the propellers spin. Alright? So those are the instructions. But you don't have to worry about that right now. Right now we're just worried about painting. And you know something I like to do when I am painting, I like to put on relaxing music. So I am going to find some music to put on. There we go. Alright. Believe it or not, if you're listening to something, it can help you focus on what you're doing. Alright, so we're gonna start. I want the big overall piece to be orange. So I'm using this spread brush right here. And excuse me. Let me adjust the camera just a little bit because I'm having a hard time reaching around. I thought this was a good idea at first, but there we go. Alright, so I'm starting with this. And I'm going to see if that works. So Miss Mythril is kind of experimenting with this at the same time while I'm showing you. Oh, and you know what else I need? I'm going to need space. I'm going to push these off to the side just a little bit. Whoops! Get back up there. Alright. I'm going to do it in nice, fine strokes. Look at that! Oh my goodness, this is working out a lot better than I thought it would. Ooh. I am so glad I chose this color. It's kind of like a light orange, but I still like it. One side is complete. Whoa, that was super fast. I'm glad I chose this side. You see, Miss Mythril does a little bit of painting as a hobby. I like painting all sorts of things, but my favorite thing to paint are Pokemon. If you're not sure what Pokemon is, it's a game where you collect these monsters in these little balls. And it's called Pokemon because Poke stands for pocket, and Mon stands for monster, so they are pocket monsters. And I needed a lot of orange one day because my most favorite Pokemon, Arcanine, is mostly orange. You know what? I wouldn't mind sharing it someday. I'll see if I can post a picture of that on the page if you're ever interested to take a look at it. And you can see what I mean by painter's paint. Well, this is more specifically called acrylic paint. Okay, I'm going to put that on its end right there because I am, like, my fingers aren't having space to go anywhere anymore. I almost want to hang this up somewhere to dry, but oh my goodness, I'm running out of places to put it. Okay, so I'm going to try to turn it around here. You know something Miss Mythril did not think of all the way? I might want to just paint one side so that I can let it dry and then come back later and just paint the other side. Yeah, that's what I'm going to start doing. But that's okay for now. We're going to put it down this way and we're going to leave that to dry. That's coming along pretty nicely. If you have never painted wood before, I highly recommend it. This is very relaxing. Alright, you know what? I have run out of acrylic paint. Now another thing about paint, it's good to have plenty of paint available. But you might want to put just a little bit at a time in your container. So that way when you're done using it, you can just come back to it. Right? That way if you have too much, you can't exactly put it back in the bottle. Alrighty, so next I'm going to paint this one. I mean, it already had a little bit of paint dribbled on it. I'm gonna look at the finishing piece. Yeah, kind of get an idea of what I want it to look like. Alrighty, and then brush, and brush, 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 brush. Back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. My friends at home, can you pretend to brush your paintbrush back and forth with me? On the count of 3, we'll do it together, right? You want to help me paint? 1, 2, 3. Brush, 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 brush. Keep it up, you're doing great. Excellent. Gonna get the sides here a little bit. Tilt it, make the sides. Excellent. Look how beautiful that looks. Thank you, friends. I couldn't have made it look so nice without you. Alright, so next I'm going to focus on the tail. This piece right here. And again, we're just going to do one side for now. Have you noticed what I'm wearing on my hands? Yep, Miss Mythril is wearing her very own gloves, so I don't get paint on them. Well, come back here, piece. Don't go anywhere. I need you. Alright, that side is done. Alright, keep helping me. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Brush it, brush it, brush it, brush it. Brush it, brush it, brush it, brush it. Brush, 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 brush. Gonna put that down like that. Good. Next piece. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Brush it, brush it, brush it, brush it. Brush it, brush it, brush. Brush it. That music sure is making me feel better. I didn't even feel bad, but I feel better. And that's a pretty cool feeling. You know, you're not particularly feeling bad about anything, but you just feel better. I mean, you know, no harm in that. Put it down carefully. How many pieces have we painted so far, friends? Can you count with me? Ready? We're going to start with this side. Point at it with me. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh my goodness, sounds good. Oh my goodness, that's a lot of paint you got going on there. Look how beautiful that looks. Are you helping our friends make this? Yes, they are. Aren't you guys? Yeah. That's some good work there. Oh, you want to get that little bend there, Cher? Get it nice and smooth. Alright, I can go ahead and paint the sides. You know, actually I'm gonna do it this way. You want to try your best not to touch anything. And the thing about acrylic paint is it tends to dry kind of fast, so even after this I can touch it up afterwards. Alright, so how many pieces have we got now that were painted? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I particularly like that little half circle there. That looks very good. Very smooth. I agree. Thank you very much, Auntie. How many pieces do we have left? Do you see them? Very good. 1, 2, 3. Alright, let's get to it. But I wanted to color the propellers a different color. They are actually going to be a different color. We have orange, but what's this other color we got right here? That's right, red. It might be too much for just 3 pieces. Alright. You know what? I only brought one of those over, those brushes, but that worked out so well, I'm going to get an entirely other different piece. Because I love how well it worked, and I don't want to risk mixing the colors. So if you ever want to avoid mixing colors, I mean, there's 2 things you can do, of course. You can wash the first brush off, put it in the water, like I did right here, or just get another brush entirely that's perfectly clean. And here we go, we're going to dab the red in. I gotta be careful because I also got some on my gloves here. So here we go. Oh, that red is coming on very nicely. That's a good brand of paint you got, Miss Mythril. Thank you. It was the cheapest at the store. Not bad at all. Not too shabby. Oh, be careful there, Shell. Be careful. And another thing you can do, if swabbing it doesn't work well, you can just dab, 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 dab like that. See? Okay, and then same thing with the propellers. And swipe, and swipe, and swipe, and swipe. You still painting with me, friends? And paint, 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 paint. Awesome! Oh my goodness, that looks amazing! Now we're going to let it dry, and perhaps later I'll go over with another coat. Now, if you're all done, you take off your gloves. What you want to do is come underneath the glove, put it inside out like that. Then you're going to grab it with the other hand. By the way, this is also a very safe way to remove your gloves. If ever you're dealing with a boo-boo or a scratch, or there's something on your gloves you don't want your hands to touch. Look at that. Now I have it balled up, and safely the paint's inside, not getting on my hands at all. No paint! Oh, wow, I really am proud of how those are coming along. Later on, I'll flip them over, paint the other sides, and then on Wednesday, I will show you how we're going to put it all together using the screws and the nails. Oh, I'm super excited about that. I am too! Our friends, hang tight. We'll be right back with our folktale. This share is shaping up to be a great day, friends. I hope you've been enjoying it too. You know what? Come a little bit closer, won't you? Alright, now here comes the last portion of our day. Our folk tale. So go get your cuddling buddy, your big brother or sister, and hope you enjoy this one. Because again, it's about animals. One animal in particular. This one's called the biggest crocodile in the world. What color is a crocodile usually? That's right, green. Alright. Once upon a time, there was an important city named Muangta on the banks of the Chi River. In those days, there were no roads, and only one way to travel was on the river. The Chi was crowded with boats carrying cargoes of vegetables, meat, and wood up and down the river from villages to the cities along the banks. The biggest and most powerful of these cities was Muangta, or Port City. One of the rulers of Ta had twin daughters whom everyone knew only by their nicknames. They had aliases as well. Mid, which means black, and Mud, which means flee. Their mother had died while they were still infants, and their father had spoiled them terribly. The people of Ta often asked the prince, "Why do you let your daughters run loose? It is very foolish. They will get into mischief, and then you will be sorry." But he would reply, "What more can I do? Wherever they go, two servants go with them. I cannot watch them myself. I'm too busy." Mid and Mud's father was certain that the servants would protect his daughters, but many of the other people, especially the women of Ta, were not convinced. The old women of Ta spent hours worrying about the two children, yet nothing ever happened to them. It seemed as if the Buddha himself were protecting Mid and Mud. In the hot season, most of the children spent their days swimming in the river, but Mid and Mud were not allowed to swim in it. Their father feared that they might drown. One day, when it was extremely hot, Mid said to Mud, "I don't care what father says. I'm going swimming in the Chi." "If you're going, I'm going too," Mud replied. "But how will we be able to trick father? If he finds out, he'll be very angry. And besides, there are two servants always sending since he sends with us. First we tell father that we're going to watch the fishermen, and then when we get to the river we'll sit on the banks and play quietly. As soon as the servants see that we are behaving ourselves, they will forget about us. The weather is so hot they will fall asleep on the shore under the tree. Then we will swim into the river." Just as Mid had planned, the servants who were supposed to watch them soon fell asleep, confident that the two girls would do nothing wrong. And then, as they had planned, the girls ran to the river. Because it had not rained since the end of the rainy season, the water was low. Mid and Mud were not afraid of it. They knew there were no dangerous currents at the time of this year. And much to their delight, they discovered that the river was so shallow they could nearly walk all the way across it. Finally, near the shore, they found a pool in which they began to play. Almost immediately, Mid saw something. "Look, Mud! There's a log! We can hang on to it!" Mud looked at the log. Then she said, "Don't be silly! That's a crocodile! A baby crocodile!" When Mid had heard this, she opened her mouth to scream, but Mud added, "Isn't it sweet? I wonder if it would hurt us." Mid and Mud wanted to catch the crocodile, but before they could decide what to do, it had gone up onto the bank and fallen asleep. Mid said, "Listen, I have a plan. We could catch that crocodile, but one of our servants could. We'll make him do it for us." The servant refused. "I won't do it. Your father wouldn't want you to have a crocodile. They're very dangerous." "Don't be silly. It's only a baby," said Mud. "And it's not even a foot long," Mid added. "It's very pretty, and it's a lovely color." "It won't hurt you. It's just a baby." Still the servant would not go near the crocodile, saying, "I won't touch it." "If you don't, we'll cry," Mid and Mud replied. "But your father doesn't want you to have such a dangerous thing, and besides, you have many other pets." Then Mud said, "All right, we'll catch it ourselves, and we'll tell father that you fell asleep while we were playing by the river, and you know that will make him very angry." And it's true. The servant did not know what to do, but the other servant, who had just awakened, said, "Shh! Don't be foolish. The prince will be less displeased if he knows that we only have fallen asleep, and then he will bring back a crocodile too." So the two servants decided that they would not let the girls catch the crocodile. Although Mid and Mud wanted to have it very much, they still feared the crocodile. Mid asked Mud, "How are we even going to get it? The servants are against us." "Did we warn them that we would cry if they didn't get it for us?" So Mid and Mud began to scream and cry and jump up and down. They made so much noise that the crowds of people came running to see what was the matter. They looked at the servants as if they had been beating the two girls. Finally, the first servant decided that things would only get worse. And we have a picture. You see the two little girls, Mid and Mud, looking at the baby crocodile? Crocodile's asleep, huh? It's a bird on its beak. They knew things would get worse if they did not catch the crocodile, so he found a box and went to catch it. When Mid and Mud passed through the market carrying their prized possession in the box, the old women looked at each other and said to themselves, "They've done it now! Someone will be very sorry because of this crocodile." Their father was very angry when he heard what they had brought with them from the river. "You cannot keep it," he said. "It's too dangerous. Tell the servant to take it back to the river immediately." "But it's so little," Mid pleaded. "It's less than a foot long," Mud added. "It has a pretty face, and we know it's very friendly." Still their father would not agree to keep it, so they began to scream and to jump up and down. The crocodile was kept in the little pond in the palace garden. Twice a day the children fed it meat, and it grew rapidly. The larger it grew, the hungrier it became. And the more Mid and Mud fed it, Mid and Mud were very kind to it, so that it never hurt them. When others learned that they had lost their fear of it, day after day, people came to look at Mid and Mud's crocodile. They were amazed with its enormous size, and they would say to each other, "It must be the biggest crocodile in the world." And still the crocodile kept growing and growing. On weekends, hundreds of people came to look at it. They could hardly believe their eyes. It was so large and fierce looking, and yet Mid and Mud could come up to it safely. After 6 years in the palace pond, the crocodile escaped. It was seen in the river every day, but no one feared it because it had never harmed anyone. At first, many people went to the river to look for the enormous crocodile, but after a few months, they forgot about it. For some time the crocodile lived fairly well on the fish in the river, but it was a very big crocodile, and it never seemed to be full. Moreover, after a while it had eaten most of the fish in that part of the river. After that it was always hungry. There was simply not enough food in the river, so at night it would sneak into town and eat pigs and chickens. The people thought a band of thieves must be stealing these animals. They never guessed that it was the big crocodile. 2 years had passed since the crocodile escaped. Mid and Mud had forgotten it. And in the 8 years since they had first found it, they had grown up into beautiful young women. Young men from all over the province wanted to marry them. Wherever Mid and Mud went, they were followed by young men, hoping to attract their attention. But Mid and Mud never noticed. Instead, they teased the young men by ignoring them. Well, that's not very nice. This seems to be one of the longer stories that we have in the book, friends. I'd say we're about halfway through. One very hot day they went down to the river. As soon as they reached the bank, they spied the crocodile swimming. "Let's go see our crocodile, Mud," said Mid. "Surely he will remember us." "All right, I'll race you," said Mud. Of the two, Mid was by far the better swimmer, and so she reached the crocodile long before Mud even came near it. The hungry crocodile ate Mid in one bite. But even Mid did not fill it up. The crocodile began swimming toward Mud. Mud was close to the banks of the river, so she was able to escape. "Quick, quick! Kill the crocodile!" cried Mud as she scrambled ashore. But none of the young men who were standing by was brave enough to go near the water. All they dared to do was throw rocks at the crocodile. This made it angry. As it started to come towards them, they fled. Terrified by this time, Mud ran to her father and told him how the crocodile had eaten Mid in one bite. "We were swimming when we saw our crocodile in the water," she sobbed. "We thought he would remember us, but he seems to have forgotten how kind we were to him." Mid went up to him and in one gulp. Mud's father was very sad when he heard this. He had always disliked the crocodile, and now he hated it. He decided that he had to kill it immediately, so he called all the men of Ta together. "The crocodile has eaten one of my daughters. I regret that I did not have it destroyed 8 years ago when Mid and Mud found it. However, it is too late now to think of that. That evil crocodile has already killed one person. Is there anyone brave enough to kill it before it does any more harm?" Not a man spoke up. They would have liked to help the prince, but they were frightened of the enormous beast. So the prince continued, "I'm not asking you to do this simply because I have lost a daughter, but think for a moment. The crocodile has already killed one person. Perhaps he will kill more. He is very hungry and he may want to eat people from now on. As long as that creature lives, no one is safe." The next day the prince called all the men together again, but still not one of them was willing to risk his life to try to kill the crocodile. The prince did not know what to do. He offered the person who would kill it either his daughter Mud for a wife or half of all his lands. Many young men thought twice about this offer, for they wanted to marry Mud, but none of them were brave enough to face the crocodile. Some of the older men thought of owning half of the prince's land. That would make them exceedingly wealthy, but they too lacked the courage. Soon the plight of Ta was known for miles up and miles down the Chi River. No merchants dared to bring their boats laden with goods to Ta because they feared the crocodile might attack their boats and eat them. And you can imagine the terror that swept through Ta at night. People were frightened every time they left their houses. What was worse, since people were afraid to bring their boats to Ta, soon there was not enough food in the town for the people to eat. They went to the prince every day complaining of their misery. In desperation at last he offered the person who would kill the crocodile everything he owned. His daughter Mud as a wife, himself as a servant, and still no one was brave enough to face the crocodile. The prince sent messengers to other provinces in search of brave men who would destroy the beast. After several weeks, 3 men appeared in Ta armed with enormous spears. "We have come hundreds of miles," they said to the prince, "to kill the crocodile, and in our part of the country we are renowned for our courage." The first hunter proclaimed, "Single-handed I have killed 10 crocodiles." "I have destroyed no less than 15, the second added. "And I have killed over 20, said the third. "Then are you going to work together to kill the crocodile?" the prince replied, pleased with this turn of fortune. "No," they said together, "that would not be fair to the crocodile." And so it was arranged that one succeeding days each hunter would have his chance to fight the crocodile. On the first day the first hunter took out a spear and went down to the banks of Chi. Half the people of Ta were watching him, and the crocodile was sleeping on the bank. The hunter walked cautiously up to it, poised his spear, and threw it. The people were certain that he would kill the crocodile. He was brave and powerful. His spear would go completely through the beast. But his spear missed. The crowd did not say a word. They watched in terror as the hunter walked behind the crocodile to pick up his spear. But before he could get it, the crocodile turned completely around and swallowed the hunter up in one gulp. When the people saw this, they fled. Some were brave enough to return to the river banks that day, said the crocodile spent its time picking its teeth with the hunter's spear. Early on the second day, the second hunter took his spear and went down to the banks of the Chi. On this day, everyone in Ta, including the prince himself, was present. This time the crocodile was in the shallow, muddy water near the bank of the river, so it could not be seen clearly. The hunter had to get very close in order to find its head. But before he could even raise his long spear, the crocodile had opened its mouth to eat him. And it did. Again the people fled. This time no one dared the river for the rest of the day. But most of the people said to each other, "Today is picking his teeth with the second hunter's spear." The third hunter showed no signs of fright, even though his two friends had been devoured by the crocodile. He told everyone he saw, "Do not fear, tomorrow the crocodile will die." And so at dawn of the third day, the third hunter roused everyone in Ta. "Come, watch me destroy the beast! Against my powerful spear it will have no chance." Again everyone went down to the river. On this day the crocodile was swimming in the center of the river, so the hunter got into a boat and rowed over to the beast. Just as he was close enough to hit the crocodile with his spear, it dove under the surface of the water. The river was so muddy that the hunter could not see the crocodile. Suddenly it came up under the boat, tipping it over, and the hunter fell into the water, and the crocodile ate him with no trouble at all. Again the people fled. Occasionally they would venture to the river, but no one saw the crocodile that day. "It is digesting its breakfast down on the bottom of the river," they said. The prince wondered what he was going to have to do in order to get rid of the crocodile. No one else came to Ta to kill it. The people had decided that the crocodile must have an evil spirit in it. It was too clever. It could not be killed. Many planned to move away from Ta as soon as possible. But that very same day a young woman appeared at the prince's palace. She said, "I can kill your crocodile." When the people heard this, they laughed. "If 3 men cannot kill a crocodile, how can a woman? She would be better off at home where she belongs." But the young woman was not worried, nor was she stopped by the people's taunts. She went directly down into the bank of the river. Most of the people of Ta followed, thinking, "It is too bad, but the crocodile is going to have another meal today." It was late in the afternoon by this time, and the crocodile was sleeping between the bank and the trunk of an enormous rubber tree. In order to kill it, the woman would have to stand directly in front of it, and she raised her spear. The crocodile opened its mouth and moved forward to eat her. The people knew this was her last moment. It was too horrible to watch, and many of them fled. At the very last moment the crocodile was about to eat her, the woman stepped calmly to one side, and instead of throwing her spear at the beast, she struck it into the crocodile's mouth, propping open the jaws. Then she took a very heavy rope, threw it around the neck of the helpless crocodile, and tied it to the rubber tree nearby. Now the crocodile could not escape, nor could it hurt her. While the woman returned to the crowd to get another spear, the crocodile thrashed around violently. It was so powerful that it broke the tree off. But the tree fell on its tail, so that it was by this time even more helpless. Quickly and easily the woman killed the crocodile. The prince rushed up to her. "Everything I have and am is yours," he cried. "You have saved Ta." "I cannot take any of this," the woman replied. "For many months I have been studying how to kill crocodiles, and I have pledged not to take anything for the first one that I killed. My teacher told me before you can accept anything for your work, you must prove yourself as a hunter. This day is the proof of my skill." "At least," the prince said, "you can remain with us for a day. We will have a feast in your honor." The young woman did not say anything, but she returned with the prince to his palace. That night she disappeared. Some people say she was a goddess. Others think she was the spirit of Mid returning for revenge. But no one ever knew. Soon the body of the crocodile had been eaten by the wild animals. But the trunk of the huge rubber tree remained on the river. The prince and men trying to cut it up so the boats could pass by, but it was like iron. They could not cut it. Since the tree lay completely across the river, boats could not pass it at all. They could not enter the port. Muang Ta was no longer an important center of trade on the river. People began to move to other towns, and Muang Ta became a small village. Those people who remained in Ta earned their living by farming, not by trade. The old name was no longer acceptable, so they changed it to Ta Kon Yang, which means Port of the Broken Rubber Tree. It is the name of the village to this day. No one in Ta Kon Yang has forgotten the great battle fought on the banks of the Chi hundreds of years ago. The palace in the river where the 3 hunters were killed is still called the Place of the 3 Hunters, or in Thai, Wang Sam Mor. And if you go south to the temple in the village, you can see the crocodile's jawbone. The priests used it for the stairway to the pulpit, from which they remind the people of the teachings of Buddha. The end. Whew! Yeah, a bit of a longer story than we're used to. I hope you enjoyed it nonetheless. Did you learn anything from this story? If there is a difficulty that you're trying to face, sometimes it's best not to act right away, but to stand by and watch and study and observe the thing that is troubling you most. Figure it out. Try to discover its weaknesses. This woman, instead of being the 4th fighter on the 4th day, decided she was going to watch the 3 men as they fought the crocodile. And she discovered the crocodile's weaknesses. But when it was her turn, she was able to defeat it with that rubber tree. It's a little food for thought. This is Miss Mythril signing off. Thank you guys so much for joining me here. And I'll see you on Wednesday. See ya!